I don't know if there is any symbolism in that. Anyway, I'm sorry for being a bit late. My train left Brussels with a delay of 55 minutes, and then even with the best of organization, it's a little bit difficult to keep deadlines as planned, but I'll try to compress my presentation. Just to give you an idea of where we are, why you are here, why this project is being financed this year, and which are the prospects for the future. Because you would be curious, I think, not only to find out more about what your project is providing, but also to understand better in what larger context this project is situated and what the Commission intends to do next. Because you, just like ourselves, of course, have an interest in the sustainability of your work, in knowing that there is a future to what you're currently working on. Since 1st of December of 2009, we have a treaty-based competence on sport, Article 165, and that's the first time in the history of the European communities and the European Union. It's one for a supporting and coordinating role, but not one that allows us to harmonize or to adopt any kind of binding legislative measures. Our work on HEPA, on health-enhancing physical activity, takes its knowledge and its inspiration from the work of the Commission of the last 5 years, going back to 2005 with the study of young people's lifestyle and sedentariness. I just saw that a question was raised about now before, so I can see that it goes full circle back to the first work that the Commission did in the field of sport in relation to health and obesity. This has, meanwhile, grown to become a very large and important field in our work. From within the 2009 call for proposals, from which your project is being co-financed, we selected 9 different projects. It was foreseen roughly that 25% of the projects and 25% of the money would be for HEPA, for health enhancing physical activity, but because there were so many good projects, and because the volume was bigger and the quality was very high, we ended up giving half of the money to HEPA projects. In this year's call for proposals, which has closed and for which we have almost finished the selection process, there was no HEPA, and we don't know whether we might have next year. The good news is that at least the Budget Committee of the European Parliament has, in principle, reserved 3 million euros for preparatory actions in the field of sport for next year. When I was talking to some of you 2 weeks ago in Stuttgart, I made a slightly more grim speech about the implications of the current economic and budgetary crisis. And it is true that it's very difficult to find money for anything new at the moment. It's equally true that we're not sure we're going to have a short sport program before 2014, but it does seem now that there are slightly better chances of getting a sport program, in that the proposals made initially by the Culture Committee, the Committee of the European Parliament in charge of sport, for 3 million euros for preparatory actions in the field of sport in 2011. They have been maintained by the Budget Committee. And the Budget Committee, as you can imagine, just like the Budget Committees in national parliaments, that's of course the committee which feels the greatest temptation to cut out something. You know about the lawnmower. Some member states apply the lawnmower. We take 10% everywhere, no matter how good or bad particular budget is. Some member states apply it. Some member states think we should apply it to the EU budget also. They say if we cut 10% in our national budget, if we fire 10% of our public servants, then the EU should do the same. This is a political reality. In this political climate, I think that getting 3 million next year with the option of a program from 2014 is not bad at all. So we're working on it. The second thing we're working on is a communication on sport to be published, to be adopted by the Culture Commissioners at the end of the year. So we hope. We thought it would be November. It's been slightly delayed. It may be that it will not be before January of 2011. But we'll have a communication on sport, a document which will look precisely like the white paper on sport. It will just not have this title, white paper. And in this new document, the Commission will summarize, take stock of what we've been doing during the last years since the white paper on sport, and we will make proposals for the future. The structure, it seems, will be very similar to the one in the white paper. Until recently, we thought that we were going to have completely different headings, and now it seems that we are going again to have the three headings: the societal role of sport, the economic dimension of sport, and the organisation of sport, so that you people who have been following our work very closely, you will find your way through the document very fast. And there will be a very substantial section on health and healthy physical activity, I am quite convinced, with reference not only to the white paper but also to the 2008 EU Physical Activity Guidelines, with an explanation of the philosophy of using local networks, multi-actor networks like this one. There are differences between the different networks we're supporting at the moment. Well, now I'll ask the question about the authorities, and you replied that the project here is one which actually takes sports organizations as its point of departure. We have deliberately selected projects in such a way that they represent these different types of projects, these different approaches, because we want to test all of them. We will say something more in the communication about this approach of supporting local level multi-actor networks and linking them with similar networks in other countries. There will also be a short section about the correlation between health and walking and cycling, soft commuting form. That's something you're very interested in. There will be something probably about the prevention of chronic diseases, of falls and other health-related problems, and of access to sport and physical activity for senior citizens, something which was not present in our last policy document. We have also been lacking a bit on disability and physical activity, but we try in each phase to take out the missing elements which were not in the previous phase of our work. So you can expect that the communication of sport might come up with a proposal for some kind of monitoring mechanism based on the physical activity guidelines. If it is retained, such a proposal could lead to something like a council-based mechanism, similar to a method of open coordination, but we would not call it like that, because there are so many methods of open coordination, nobody wants to have more of them. There would probably also be a proposal to support, financial support for projects of this kind, to be sure that we will have an appropriate chapter in the future sport program. There might be a specific action point relating to the health benefits of walking, cycling and active commuting. And there might be a proposal that Commission and Member States should launch an annual EU Sports Day. That is an idea that has come up more recently. So this is what we're working on at the moment. I will not be more detailed now because I've already taken some time by being late, even if it was the railways and not me who caused it at the beginning. I can tell you I have 4 train travels booked for this week, and none of them took place as they should have. The first one actually involved an extra night in Cologne because of a railway strike in Belgium. I'll not tell you all the rest, but everything seems to be postponed a bit, so I thought it was better to compress it more, not take too much of your time with this. But I hope with this message that I've been able to give you a sense of hope that there will be support in the future as well. At least we're working hard on it. The current political climate does not make it easy, not at all, and it is more difficult to argue for something new than for maintaining something which is in place already. When the long knives have been taken out, it's new proposals which are the most likely to get axed, and many things are getting axed at the moment. But what do we need to avoid the axe? Not long ago in London I saw a wonderful poster from one of the trade unions with an enormous axe on it. It was about 3 meters long on a house wall. If we want to avoid the axe, what do we need? Evidence. We are going to have all the projects from the preparatory actions 2009, 10, 11 evaluated externally. We will need this evidence to build a really strong argument in favor of a robust EU sport program with a robust chapter on health and physical activity, and for that we need good results from your work. Thank you.